In 2008, one man maintained simultaneous residences in Manhattan, Palm Beach, New Mexico, and the Virgin Islands while managing a portfolio estimated at over $700 million. Yet his official employment history remained publicly invisible. Jeffrey Epstein's wealth emerged into public consciousness gradually, then all at once. Born in Brooklyn in 1953, he worked as a teacher and then as a trader at Bear Stearns before founding his own firm, J. Epsilon, in 1982. According to court records and financial filings, he marketed himself as a manager for ultra-high net worth individuals, a role that required him to maintain strict confidentiality agreements with clients. What made Epstein distinctive wasn't his methods but his invisibility. He existed in the gaps between regulatory systems. He wasn't a banker, so banking oversight had limited reach. He wasn't a registered investment advisor in the traditional sense. He occupied a legal space that regulators had not yet learned to watch. The mechanism became visible in 2005. That year, Palm Beach police began investigating allegations of sexual abuse. What emerged from those investigations, documented in the Miami Herald's 2018 reconstruction, was structural. Epstein had cultivated relationships with powerful individuals across law enforcement, politics, and finance. Not through blackmail, as popular theory suggests, but through a more pedestrian mechanism, access. He hosted events. He made introductions. He became useful. When the Palm Beach case reached the state attorney's office, it was closed. When federal agents later reopened inquiries, prosecutors offered him a plea deal that allowed him to avoid federal trial. Records show his legal team negotiated immunity from both state and federal prosecution for potential co-conspirators. The mechanism wasn't hidden, it was procedural. This pattern repeated across decades. Epstein maintained multiple layers of separation. Staff members handled operational details. Properties existed in corporate shells. Banking relationships were obscured through legitimate wealth management structures. Organizations he funded, research institutions, universities, museums, became repositories for donations that carried social legitimacy. Each institution verified his respectability to the next. Reputation became architecture. What made Epstein's case exceptional wasn't that he operated outside the law, it was that the systems designed to detect financial crime were never calibrated to look at men embedded in wealth networks rather than those seeking entry. Wealth management firms operate with minimal transparency. Charitable giving requires no disclosure of source. Property holdings can be obscured through corporate registries. The infrastructure that allowed Epstein's invisibility remains largely unchanged. Today, documented cases show similar patterns persist within institutional frameworks where oversight focuses on transaction volume rather than relationship networks. Regulatory agencies have since tightened definitions around fiduciary responsibility and beneficial ownership, yet historians debate whether these changes address the structural gap or merely narrow it. The lesson isn't conspiratorial, it's architectural. Power often hides not in shadows, but in the spaces between institutions that were never designed to speak to one another. Next, we examine how shell corporations became the architecture of modern concealment.